What's going on, guys? It's Adam P, and welcome back to more Newcastle United transfer news. And I have to say, I am so glad the transfer window is now closed. I've had a lie in today. I've had a chance to relax, reflect on everything, and of course, while it is now closed, still going to be a double upload for a few days. There's still quite a lot going on behind the scenes. Of course, international break now, and as I said in previous video, the noise is going to be here for a little while. But trust me, next week going into the Wolves game, that noise is going to be gone. However, still early doors, still a lot to talk about. We've got like Alexander Isak, Johan Wissler. There's still all sorts to mention in this video to talk about behind the scenes at Newcastle United. I know you guys want to hear about that. So we're here to get into that. If you guys are new around here, make sure to get down there, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for 64,000 subscribers. And I wanted to say as well, I am running the Great North Run on Sunday. So if you would like to make a donation, I'm running on behalf of the British Heart Foundation. Please do. Link will be down in the pinned comment and also in my description. So if possible, if you've got any spare change, you can donate to my charity. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And let's get into things. Starting off, have you watched both of the player interviews yesterday? Watch Johan Wissler's interview, then watch Alexander Isak's interview. The actual contrast between the two is insane. One player buzzing to be there. One player awkward, not engaging at all with the media team, comes across as quite disingenuous. He's repeating the same things. He doesn't even know what to say half the time. Johan Wissler clearly wanted to be in Newcastle United. Alexander Isak clearly wants to be successful, but doesn't necessarily want to be at Liverpool, if that makes any sense. So when you look at the two interviews, my word, there's a big difference between the two. And actually, I would argue a real eye-opener as well, and the character and the mindset of Alexander Isak. I get he's an elite level player, has an elite level mindset as well. He just wants to be the best. He wants to win everything. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad thing, but he does not want to be at Liverpool at all. I've never seen a player less hard to be at Liverpool. Liverpool's a massive club as well. But yeah, he's got one thing in the back of his mind, and it's certainly not Liverpool. He wants to be the best. And will he do it there? Time will tell. And as for why I watched the video, I wanted to see whether or not the players would actually directly mention the saga this summer. Johan Wissler openly spoke about Brentford and was asked questions from Newcastle United's media team about the situation with Brentford. Wissler spoke well about his former football club, went into detail about Brentford. Isak said nothing about Newcastle United. Nothing. The most he said, I want to leave the past behind and look ahead. That's it. Did not even mention Newcastle. Didn't say a thank you to anyone behind the scenes at Newcastle. Has said nothing on his social media pages. Have not thanked his teammates, thanked the fans, thanked the manager. Has not said anything about Newcastle. He has not mentioned a thing towards anyone. And when you look how the summer has been, if I knew deep down how Isak would be acting towards Newcastle like he is now, I would have had this guy all summer long. But behind the scenes, you just don't know. And deep down, I think fans always had that belief and that mindset. Can we reintegrate this guy back in our squad? Never happening. Watch that interview. Watch it for yourselves. Look at the way he interacts. Look at the way he behaves around Liverpool. And tell me we could have reintegrated him. Never going to happen. It's just never happening at all. And I'm so glad now he's out. And I'm so glad Newcastle can move on now. But a real eye-opener. The fact that he's not mentioned Newcastle at all, the fact he has not addressed anything at Newcastle, the fans, nothing, speaks volumes. It honestly does. As for the players who have liked Alexander Isak's Liverpool post, Botman, Gordon, Willock, Kraft. Those are the only 4 active first-team players so far who have liked Alexander Isak's Liverpool post. 4 out of nearly 30 now, so not an awful lot behind the scenes, and we'll show you a couple of them in just a moment because I actually put thank you messages out as well. Of course, Isak's now out with the Sweden team. Likes of Kraft and Elanga are there, and I have to say, although he's liked these posts, that interaction photograph between Isak and Kraft certainly doesn't look the most comfortable picture, shall we say. But for the players who have actually went out of their way, 2 players have went out of their way, they actually put thank you messages to the player directly. When starting off his teammates, growed into one of my rare best friendships, No more words needed, brother. All the best in your next chapter. And that was Botman's message to Isak. I'm going to mention both of them in just a moment, but you guys have your own opinions. And Gordon here, regardless of the situation and what's going on, it's been a pleasure to play with you. One of the best chemistries I've had on the pitch, and more importantly, a great person and teammate. I wish you nothing but the best, brother. Quite similar responses in terms of, brother, I wish you nothing but the best. To be honest, I think you've got to be fair towards the players. The players obviously have friendships at Isak. I think the players are entitled to still be friends with Alex. I don't think at all it's a case where you're not allowed to speak with him at all. However, I would also argue there should be reading the room. Of course, you've just seen the summer went through. You've just seen on the pitch the nightmare we went through. Without that striker, we've dropped a serious amount of points already, and it has heavily disrupted our season. There's a lot of chaos and a lot of anger in the back rooms. So when you look at the players now doing the complete opposite in social media and, you know, wishing the player all the best, like I feel like they should be reading the room. Just drop the guy a private message, drop him a DM. Do we need to publicly state we love Alex? Because that is not what the fans think, and that is not what the majority of teammates at Newcastle United thinks. But Gordon's the one that slightly ticks me off, I suppose, because he is a Liverpool fan, and while, of course, there's nothing stopped him from saying nice messages to Isak, the same Liverpool fan, by the way, 2 weeks ago, who got sent off against Liverpool. So that's what irks me a little bit. I don't think his performances, although he's been selfless up front, hasn't reflected in goals or assists. So I'd rather Gordon just crack on, and for me to not have to talk about him in videos like this. But again, I don't think it's a massive deal, but I wanted to let you guys know there has been two Newcastle United players who have publicly made statements towards Isak that have been positive, that have talked about the player in a good light. And on the flip side, it has been stated by Craig Hub, one Newcastle player had to be calmed down by a compatriot after a meeting on the subject of Alex's wishes. So, of course, team meeting, everyone discussing what's happening with Alex, and one teammate so angry where you had to physically be calmed down. And it hasn't been named, but you're going to guess it'll be Joelinton or Bird. It's going to be one of those two, maybe Bruno as well, but certainly one of those three players. You can just tell it's one of those ones. I don't even need to suggest anyone else. You know they're the most emotional, the most passionate towards Newcastle United. I have to say, they're the sort of players you want. You want players to be angry about this. You want players to be frustrated about this, because you want players that are here, going to be loyal to Newcastle, and you want the players that are going to be with us through thick and thin. And whichever one it was, I like it. I like it a lot. I like the anger. Make sure you pen that anger up, and make sure you pen that frustration up. And when we play Liverpool at Anfield, go enjoy yourself out there is the message I would be laying out there. But I know Newcastle fans are going to feel that anger. And I can understand it. I honestly can. But deep down, we're going to move on. A couple of days, once everything's calmed down, once all this drama on social media calms down, we're going to be fine. We are going to be fine. So, you know, enjoy it. Take it all in. But in terms of Alexander Isak, I'm not going to mention much more. But of course, it is still Newcastle United related news. So I'm aware some of you guys are going to be sick of him by now. But there still is a lot of news going on about him. But trust me, next few days it'll calm down. It'll all be over within a week. And I wanted to calm you down on that, because Luke Edwards has actually went as far to claim that Isak was even potentially match fixing towards the end of the season, essentially accusing him of match fixing, going into detail about how he believed that the player hadn't been putting performances in, and he actually wanted Newcastle United to fall out of the Champions League because it would have been easier for him to get a move elsewhere. Is there any weight to those claims? I would say yes to some degree. Now, the reason why I kind of disagree with it, because I remember Brighton away quite well. I mean, you're talking the 85th minute, we're 1-0 down to Brighton. This was the crucial game that we need to get a result from. Isak scored a penalty in the 89th minute, so Isak had the golden opportunity there to just sky the penalty over the ball, or even if he wanted to make it look less obvious, just tap the penalty at the goalkeeper. And he didn't do that. He actually scored it right in the bottom corner, picked the ball up, and clearly ran back to the halfway line. That was his last ever goal for Newcastle. And when I watched that back after hearing the claims there, in that moment, he still gave 100%. It wasn't like he missed on purpose. He clearly wanted to score, and he scored. So I just... I can understand on the flip side as well, because then you had Arsenal away afterwards and Everton at home, lost both games, and Isak was terrible in both games. There's actually a highlight reel where you can just watch him sky shots all day long on YouTube from those two games. So yeah, that's a tricky one to look at. I can kind of see it happening, but at the same time, I'd also say that's quite a big claim to make. without any real substantial evidence there. All you got really is circumstantial evidence in terms of the player missing shots, but he could have just had a bad day at the office. Like, I don't think that's sufficient enough to be able to accuse him of match fixing. I just don't feel like there's enough evidence there. But again, on the flip side, I can kind of understand it, but that's a massive claim to make. That is massive. But I'm intrigued to see what you guys think, because I'm actually generally not sure whether or not he would have been doing that. Probably lenient and opinion based to say that he has, but then the flip side, I haven't really got evidence to say that. It's kind of like match fixing without the evidence to prove it's match fixing. And finally, as for Bruno coming back from the international break, it has been quoted by some of these ITK accounts on Twitter that he would be leading a meeting/presentation to the rest of the team about what it means to be a Newcastle United player. When he's back in the UK, he's going to have his full presentation all sorted out and all presented to the team directly. Unsure whether that's true or not, but it does sound believable. That does sound like something Bruno would do, and I have to say, if that is true, perfect. Perfect choice for the captain's armband last year. Perfect choice for the individual who wants to lead such a presentation. The perfect timing to get it done. After all that noise, you got a bunch of new signs in there. Let them all know what it means to play for Newcastle United. Let them all know what it means to wear the black and white shirt. And that's exactly the mindset, exactly the focal point you need going into a tough string of games after this international break. And I think it's spot on. I think he's spot on as well. I think everything done by him is perfect. And I wouldn't be surprised over the next couple of days if we perhaps even see some of these make messages on social media towards the fans and towards what's going on. So, yeah, I feel like that's an appropriate way to finish the video off. We are going to be back later on today. Second upload, going to be going through the rankings and what I personally felt like about the transfer window, my personal opinions, what I would have changed, and what my honest scoring and my feelings are towards the entire thing. So make sure you come back and watch it. I'm happy how things are. I am so over the individual been spending the entire video talking about. Now we're just talking about the guy as if he's a memory. But yeah, there's still Newcastle United news regarding him, unfortunately. So as much as I would rather talk about something else, he still is the main centre of attention at the minute. But like I said, that will calm down and that will be over within a few days. So bear with it. Of course, you guys want all the juice, all the news, and you guys want all the information that's going on. So make sure stick around. Appreciate you watching, and we will see you all in the next one.